welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today is Christmas in July and I'm going to share with you some of my past favorite characters that are really easy to make. And if you do craft fairs and you are getting ready, geared up for it for the Christmas season, any of these are great for that. So if you want to know how to make them, stick around. I'll show you how. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Okay, for this one I'm using a 4-inch styrofoam egg and a 3-inch styrofoam ball. I'm taking a 1/4 inch by 6-inch dowel stick and sharpen one end. And then go ahead and stick the sharpened end down into the top part of the egg, the skinniest part of the egg, and then go ahead and put it into the 3-inch ball too. Then we're going to attach them. Then I'm just going to cut my stick off just a little bit. You just need enough to join the two together. Okay, next I'm going to take a piece of white fleece. It measures 8-inch by 10-inch, and I'm going to glue down the 10-inch side. It's dry, just go ahead and turn it right side out. And we are just going to slide this right over the egg and the ball. Just kind of make sure your seam is pretty flat, and then we're just going to go ahead and put it right inside. Now the bigger part of the egg is on the bottom. And you want this to be snug. And when you cut your fabric, you want the stretchy side to be on the 8-inch side. Okay, next I'm just going to take a needle and thread and I'm just going to sew up the top. Now you could glue this if you want to, just kind of bunch it all up there in the top and glue it in, but I'm going to go ahead and sew mine. Because it is going to be covered up with a hat, so you aren't going to see the top here. And once you get it completely around, go ahead and pull it, tie it off, and then we're going to put a little bit of glue in the top just to hold it in place. Next, to divide the head from the body, we're just going to take a string and we're going to tie it really tight around the neck area. Next, we're going to sew up the bottom just like we did the top. Kind of pull it all up there together, figure out exactly where you need to trim it. Put your needle in there first so you know exactly where the end is, and then trim some of that off. You just want enough just to go up to the center part of the ball. Okay, then we're just going to stitch it up just like I did the top. And again, you can glue this if you want to, but I would recommend going ahead and hand sewing this so it does pull it tight and you have a nice finished bottom on it. And then we're going to tie it off and we're going to go ahead and glue it down as well. Next, I got these socks at Target, and I'm just going to cut right above the heel all the way straight across. And this is what's going to be for his jacket. And then I'm just going to turn it inside out, and I'm going to take that liner out of there. So you don't have to have a lined sock. And then I'm just going to cut straight across the top part here. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold the edges down about a 1/2 inch on each side and just glue them all the way around. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom edge. And if you didn't want to use a sock, you could use fabric. Just measure around your body to get your measurement. But the overall length of this after it's finished was 3¼ inches. Next, I'm just going to slide it right up over the body. And it's going to come up around his neck a little bit. So you want to go above the neck a little bit. For the hat, I'm just going to cut across the heel of this and cut that part off. And then I'm going to take the lining out of this one as well. It was just a little bit too bulky with the lining. And then I'm just going to cuff up the edge a 1/2 inch just like I did the shirt. And I'm just going to glue that all the way around. And then I'm going to take a string, tie it around the heel area at the top. And then we're going to cut that off and we're going to glue that to the body of the hat. I've given you the pattern in the description below. Just cut it out. This is going to be for his beak and his face. Just go ahead and cut it out. We're going to cut this out of black felt. And this was really pretty easy to cut out by hand, but I've also included the SVG file if you have a cutting machine and you'd prefer to cut it that way. And I've already cut out my little beak pieces out of the orange. And then you're just going to slide this right up underneath his hat so you can still see part of the shape of it, and his beak part comes down. So you can attach the beak right at the top part and the bottom part. So leave enough room for that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and just glue that one piece down, that little flap right there down. And then I'm going to take the hat off and glue the rest of it off. Just spend a little bit of time getting this pretty straight because this is going to be the main focal point of his face. And then we're just going to fold the beak over, and we're going to glue one on top and one facing the other way on the bottom. So we're going to attach his eyes. I'm using two 8mm eyes, and I'll give you the link for those in the description below. And just go ahead and just push those straight on in. And I'm not gluing these in because they grabbed up pretty well. Next, I'm going to take the hat back off. I'm going to turn it right inside out, put some glue on top, and go ahead and glue that down because you want to make sure it stays close to his head. Just make sure you get your face part glued in well. Okay, next I'm going to take about a 10-inch piece of fleece by 1 inch. I'm just stretching it, and I'm just going to wrap this right around his neck. Okay, next for his little wings, you're going to cut your pattern out, and you're going to cut 2 of these for each side. And I'm just using black felt on this one as well. And you're going to need a couple pipe cleaners also, and then we're also going to take a dowel stick, and we're going to sharpen both ends to put into the very tip of it to attach it to the body. And then again, if you have a cutting machine, I did include the SVG file for this as well. But it really was pretty easy just to cut out by hand. So go ahead and sharpen both ends of a dowel stick, and then we are going to cut these at 1 inch each. You don't need a lot to go into the body, just enough to grab it. And I'm cutting them both at just 1 inch on just the pointy side only. We're just going to take our pipe cleaner, we're just going to bend it to the shape of the wing, and we're just going to attach that to the inside part. This way we have some movement on his arms or his wings. And you want to get it in there close enough so that you can get the other piece over the top of it and glue that down. So kind of come in probably at least 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And then we're going to add our little dowel stick to the end. You just want like a 1/2 inch on the inside and the pointy part facing outside. And then we're just going to glue the other part of the wing over the top of it to glue it all together. Just kind of take some time on this, kind of squeeze it out on the edges just to make sure it is pretty flat. And do the same thing with the other one. To attach them, we're just going to stick them right into the side. Just go above where the scarf is and just make sure you get into some styrofoam. Just push it on in there, and then we're going to go ahead and glue it in. But you want them up pretty high. You want them up by his neck area. And then do the same thing with the opposite side. And then you can bend him however you want to. Okay, once you get them exactly where you want to, go ahead and just put a little bit of glue underneath their little flaps. For the feet, you're going to cut out 4 of the feet pattern. I've given you that in the description below. And then we're going to take some chipboard and we are going to trace the foot onto here. And then we are going to cut it out. And we're going to cut it out a little bit smaller than the foot because we are going to put a piece of chipboard between each one of the feet. So you'll have felt, the chipboard, and felt on top. And once you get that trimmed down, we're just going to go ahead and glue it to the felt foot, and then we're going to put the other one over the top of it. Just kind of make sure that you do get it trimmed enough where you don't see the chipboard on the outside edge of the felt. And then do exactly the same thing with the opposite foot. Just kind of seal it in there real well. Kind of take your thumb and kind of push in some spots in there to kind of flatten it out a little bit. And then we're going to just go ahead and glue it right to his feet. And he will stand up. Okay, that was pretty quick and easy. Okay, I think those turned out super cute. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope this video gives you some inspiration. Okay, for this one, you're going to take the pattern, and it's in the description below. Just download it and cut it out. And I'm using a teddy bear fleece on this. You can use any kind of fleece that you want to. Just make sure it's something that stretches. Next, I'm going to take my facing sides, put them together. Now, I'm going to leave a section of the top part of the head open, kind of on the diagonal, right there. Right there, I'm not going to glue there. So you're going to glue all the way around, except for on that section right there, because we need a section to be able to turn it right side out. Now, all of these patterns can be sewn. I know I get a lot of you asking me how come I don't sew them, but I know a lot of people don't have access to a sewing machine, so I'm showing you how to do it the glue way, but you can always sew it just exactly the same way. And so just go all the way around, and then we're going to turn it right side out. And honestly, gluing this, it was not stiff. I know a lot of people think that the glue is stiff, but really, if you don't put a lot of glue on it, it's not going to be stiff. I'm going to take some white fleece, and I'm going to make a hat, and I've given you the pattern for this as well. This is going to be the top part of the hat, and then you're going to have a band for the bottom part of the hat. And there is going to be a little bit of sewing on this part, hand sewing, but you can't really do it without doing it that way. But it's going to be easy. So go ahead and cut all your pattern pieces out, and then we're going to assemble it. To assemble the hat, we're just going to go down the long end, and we are just going to glue this up about 1/4 of an inch. And then with the opposite side, we're going to glue the facing sides together so that when we turn this right side out, we have a finished edge. I'm just going to take a needle and thread. I'm just going to tie a knot at one end. And then I'm going to sew up a casing around that circle so that we can draw it in and put it inside that hat band. This is pretty easy sewing. All you need is a needle and thread. And then just start at one section and just go all the way around with 1/4 inch stitches till you get to the opposite side. Okay, next go ahead and draw it up there. Figure out exactly how wide it needs to be. You need to make sure about the same width, and then go ahead and tie that part off. And I'm tying mine in 3 knots. Okay, next to attach it, you're going to attach the sewn end into the band with the opposite end that's open, not the part that's actually we folded over and glued. And you want to make sure that the outside of that folded over area is on the outside. Just get it all the way inside there, even, and then just start gluing it in. And just keep going around until you get it in there, and kind of, kind of spread it out a little bit so that the pleats are a little bit even. But make sure you get it glued in well and that you do have it even with that other piece of fabric. Okay, then just go ahead and turn that flap down and then your hat's finished. Okay, now we're going to turn our gingerbread man right side out. I'm just using some pliers. It makes it a little bit easier. But take some time on this part. Just make sure that you get all your little areas, your curves out, and they're all curved. And then we're going to take a popsicle stick to go ahead and finish curving out the rest of it. Just push it in there and just, kind of shape it. And then we're going to start filling it with polyfill. And I'm going to put quite a bit of polyfill in here. I'm going to go ahead and stuff it down into the bottom, get the leg area stuffed in first, and then I'm going to do the arms, and I'm going to do the body and the head. And I'm feeling it pretty full. Once you get it filled as full as you want, then we're just going to start gluing it. Now, you don't have to glue it inside or anything like that. Just kind of push it together because that hat's going to cover up that opening. And you may want to put a little bit more stuffing as you're going along. Once you glue a little spot, you might want to put a little bit more as you go along. Next, I'm going to put a little bit of stuffing inside the hat to kind of make it stand up good. And then I'm just going to add a bead of glue all the way around the inside part of this hat to attach it to the little gingerbread man. And we're going to put it on at an angle just like that. So just go all the way around the inside edge only. And then just go ahead and push it right on top of his head and hold it in place. Okay, next I'm just going to add some rickrack around the bottom of the legs and about around the ends of the hands or the arms. Just kind of starting in the middle, come up about 1/2 inch and go ahead and all the way around to the back. And do that for all of the legs and all of the arms. And then you want to go ahead and start trimming it off. That first one I got, it was just a little bit too long, so I pulled it back off and re-glued it. But just kind of shorten these up a little bit. You just want them to overlap just a little bit. Okay, then do exactly the same thing with the arms. You can come up about 1/2 inch from the edge and go ahead and put that around there. Okay, next I'm just going to go ahead and take some more of the rickrack. I'm just going to put it around his neck. And you could decorate these however you want to. I mean, you could use different color rickrack if you wanted to. I just had the white rickrack. Okay, next I'm going to add some little doll eyes, and I'm just going to cut with an X-Acto knife right into the fabric and just push that on in. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the opposite side. I'm probably spacing them out about 1 inch. Okay, then I'm going to take 2 little pom-poms and I'm just going to put them right on the front of his body. Okay, next for his mouth, I'm going to take a circle cutter and I'm just going to cut that out a craft foam. Then I'm going to come down and make like a little moon-shaped cut to get the mouth. You could freehand this if you want, and then I'm just going to cut it a little bit short and glue it on. So you're just using like the like a fingernail size of the round circle punch. Okay, next I'm taking some red and white rope and I'm just going to wrap it around. Now, I had no idea it was going to do that when I cut that. So if you use this rope, you're going to have to twist it back and glue it together. And then I'm just going to wrap this around the hat and I'm going to glue it in the back. Now, you could make a hanger for this to hang from the tree, but I'm not going to hang these. I'm just going to put these, set these up and pop them up in my kitchen. And these would be great for gift baskets too, just, you know, as a filler or even a gift for somebody. But he was pretty simple. All right, I think those turned out adorable, and I'm going to show you here in a second a good way to package these to gift these. This is how I gifted these last year. I made some gingerbread cookies. I just put those in a bag. I got a long box. I'll give you the link for these boxes in the description below. Just put some crinkle paper in it. Put your gingerbread cookies in there. Put a little icing pack in there with some crinkle paper underneath that. And then go ahead and add your gingerbread man. This turned out so cute, and everybody that I gave these to just loved these. And just add a tag, add a ribbon around the top part of it. And then I got a couple of these little gingerbread men over at Hobby Lobby last year. And I'm just going to put a couple of these on here for just decoration. This is a super easy and quick way to make a little gift, and everybody will love these. Okay, for this one, I've given you a pattern in the description below. Just cut it out, and then you're going to cut out 2 of these on some fleece fabric. And I'm just using some regular anti-peel fleece, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin my pattern to my fabric and go ahead and cut it out. This is a real quick and easy one as well, and you could customize them so many different ways. Just make sure when you're cutting around the curved area, you get it pretty curved because you do want it to look really good once you get it glued together. And you can sew this pattern as well. And you're just going to go ahead and put facing sides together, and we're just going to start at the edge of the top and go all the way around. You want to leave the very tip top open because we are going to stuff it. Just spend some time making sure that when you go around the curved areas, you do get them pretty curved. And make sure you get enough glue on there to hold, but not too much because you don't want it oozing. Okay, then stop right before you get to that end of that peak. And then we're going to go ahead and turn it right side out. You want to let it dry really good before you do this part, but you want to just kind of take your time and get it right side out and just pull each one of those little legs and arms out, probably individually because it's a little bit easier. And then I'm just going to use a craft stick to just go ahead and push all the openings out and get my curves right. Spend some time on this part. You want to make sure that you do have round edges. Next, I'm just going to start adding some polyfill inside, and I'm going down into each one of the little, the legs and then the arms individually just to get it as full as I can get it. And I'm putting quite a bit of stuffing in here. Next, for the peak of his hat, I'm taking a pipe cleaner, folding it in half, folding it in half again. And I'm just going to glue it inside the little point so that his hat will be stay up. It'll give it a lot of body right there. But you want to stay about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge so that you can glue your top part over the top of that. And this is all going to be hidden by the hat anyway, so if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. It's not going to be seen anyways. Okay, next I'm taking a piece of fleece. It measures 1 inch by 8 inch, and I'm going to go ahead and fold over the top edge and the bottom edge just as little bit as I can. Probably about 1/4 of an inch at the most. And then just kind of meet in the middle on the both of them and go all the way down. And we're going to use one of these for the legs and one of these for the arms. Okay, next I'm just going to cut that piece in half, and I'm going to wrap one around one leg and one around the other, and then meet in the middle in the back, and then just glue that on. Coming probably about 1/2 inch above the bottom of the foot area. And just get that glued in real good. And then go ahead and put a little bit of glue right between the center part and just push those together, and then they will meet and it'll be one solid piece. And then do exactly the same thing on the opposite leg. Just make sure that they do match in the front. Make a piece exactly the same for the arms. Just cut that in half. And then we're going to wrap it around the arms about 1/2 an inch up on both sides as well. And then again, meet in the middle when you get done so it does look like it's one piece. And the arms ended up being a little bit shorter than the 8 inch. And you just trim them. Next, to trim them out, I'm just coming around with some blue and white baker's twine, and I'm just going to tie a bow on each leg and on each arm. Just kind of get it centered in the middle of the white, and then just go ahead and tie a bow. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue right up underneath that bow, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue right underneath the back part too, just to hold it in place. Okay, and then do exactly the same thing on the opposite leg, and then we're going to do exactly the same thing on the arms. We're going to take a piece of fabric that measures 7.5 long by 8 inches wide. This is just some white fleece folded over, and we're going to come straight up the bottom all the way to the top, curving it as we go. Then we're going to go ahead and open it up, and we're going to glue the sides together. Okay, then we're going to cuff up the bottom edge of it 1.5 inches. Just make sure you do get it straight and even all the way around. And then go ahead and glue that in. Okay, then go ahead and turn it right side out. And then we are going to cuff up the bottom edge 3/4 of an inch. And then go ahead and glue that in as well. Next, we're going to cut his beard. We're going to cut it at 2 inches by 2 inches. And then just go ahead and make a U shape around there. And then we're going to cut that out, cutting the backing of the fur only, just the liner part. And if you just kind of take your scissors and just kind of snip through it, it's a little bit easier. And then just go all the way around and we're going to clean the excess fur off. Okay, if you're enjoying the video, be sure and give me a thumbs up because it really does help my channel. Attach the beard, we're just going to come right up to the top edge and glue this on. Next, I'm just going to take some polyfill and I'm going to stuff the hat. And I'm going to get it pretty full because I do want it to be pretty fluffy. And then when you get ready to stick the top part of his head into the hat, just go ahead and lift the polyfill up in the back and slide it into the very back. And then I'm just going to turn it over to the back and I'm just going to glue the back in first. And then I'm going to start gluing around. Now don't glue the front yet because we're going to put the nose in. Go ahead and get around the sides. And then after we get the nose in, we'll glue the whole thing in. Next, I'm going to attach the nose, and it's just a 15mm half bead. And I'm just going to glue it right to the beard, right up underneath the cuff of the hat. And then we're going to glue the hat down around the top part and onto the nose. Just go ahead and finish around the edges. So I'm going to take that same blue and white baker's twine and I'm just going to tie a bow right to the side of the brim of his hat. I'm just going to tie it in a knot and then I'm going to tie it in a bow. Okay, then I got these little snowflakes at Hobby Lobby and I'm just going to paint them with a paint that's very similar in color to his body. And I'm going to do 2 of these because I'm going to do 2 of these little guys. And then I'm going to come back with some white chalk paint with a chip brush. And I'm just going to kind of lightly distress these a little bit. Just kind of fluff over the top of them. I take the same baker's twine and I'm just going to take a needle and thread and tie it through the top part of that hat. Just pull it on through. And I'm going to use some pliers to help because it is pretty thick. And then I'm going to add some white beads to the top part of this to decorate it up. And I'm just using a upholstery needle to run these beads through. It just makes it a little bit easier. And I'm going to use 4 beads on here. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the top part of the first bead or the last bead just to hold it in place. And then I'm just going to tie that off. And then I'm going to take one of the snowflakes and I'm just going to glue it right to his hat. This was pretty easy. Okay, and you can hang these on a package. You could hang them on your tree. You could gift these. These turned out so cute. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, for this one, I'm going to use 2 of the Dollar Tree carvable pumpkins in white. Now, if you can't find these, you can take 2 large styrofoam balls and just cut the bottom and the top off so that they're flat. Go ahead and remove the toothpicks out of them. And then we're going to take some fleece fabric, the stretchy side right there, and we're going to lay these inside of here, go around it because you want it to kind of be tight. So pull it up there till you have maybe a 1/2 inch on each side. And then we're going to glue that together and we're going to stretch it over the top part of these pumpkins. And you want to make sure that the stretchy side is the side that is the shorter side. And I don't know how long I made this, but just put your pumpkins in there and you can kind of gauge because we're going to go ahead and glue the bottom and the top edge together. And then just make sure you have enough that you have overhang. And then just go ahead and glue down one side and make sure that this gets glued together well because we are going to turn it right side out and stretch it over the pumpkins. Next, we're going to take a 1/4-inch dowel stick and sharpen both sides, and that's 1/4 by 6. And then you're just going to push it down into the center of each of these pumpkins just to make sure that they stay lined up. Then we're going to take them back apart and we're going to glue them together. This will keep them from shifting in your fabric. You want them to stay straight. Okay, next go ahead and pull your fabric on down over your pumpkins, and you want to make sure that you have equal amounts on both ends. We're going to take a string and tie it tight around the center just to separate the two pumpkins, just to give it the definition. And then pull the top part up and we're just going to cut it off. And we're going to start gluing this together here in a second. We're just going to kind of keep cutting it off until we get it short enough to where we still have fabric showing at the top. And we're going to cover all this up with a little circle here in a little bit as well. Just make sure that you don't cut off so much that you can't pull the centers together. And then just start gluing it together. And try to get as many of the wrinkles out as you can. So go ahead and stretch it pretty good, but then we are going to cover it up here in a little bit. And you're going to keep trimming off until you don't have so much bulk on top and bottom. And we're going to do this for the bottom as well. And that fleece, it stretches pretty good, so you can get those wrinkles pretty close to being gone. You just don't want them to be seen from the sides. And then go ahead and flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing for the bottom. Just try to cut as much fabric off as you can, but you want to make sure you still have enough to go in the center. And I'm just putting a rubber band around the top just to kind of pull it up to go ahead and cut it off. Kind of helped a little bit more. And just do the same thing like you did on the top. Next, I just took 2 little circles out of some white felt, and I'm just gluing it on the top and the bottom. Just kind of finish those areas out. I got these little shoes on Amazon, and I'm going to cover them up with some fabric. I got a pattern for you in the description below. If you don't want to use those, you can add a 3rd pumpkin and eliminate the feet. But just go ahead and cut your fabric, and we're cutting this out of felt. I'm just using some black felt, and I'm just going to cut, this is the toe part of the pattern, and then we're going to cover the rest of it with black as well. And then we're just going to start right at the very tip toe of the shoe, and we're going to glue it down, and we're going to start stretching it to the sides. Just get that toe part glued in first and let it dry really good, and then you can come back in and start pulling the rest of it around. And if you get a little buckling around the edge, don't worry about it, because we are going to come back in and put some trim around it. And these will be tight, but you want them to be tight. That way you won't have any wrinkles in them. And then we're going to take our scissors, and we're going to cut 2 little slits on both sides to finish wrapping it around. Okay, we're going to pull the tongue back a little bit, and we're going to glue right there on top. And then go ahead and stretch your 2 sides on around to the sides. For the heel, we're going to take a piece of fabric that's 5.5 by 3.5. Just find your center point, and we're just going to glue it right into the center of the back. And then you're going to go ahead and glue it all the way around to both sides. And then go ahead and glue up both sides as well. And then around the bottom, we're taking a 1-inch strip. I think it's by like 11.5. I'm going to trim it off, but just make sure you get enough just to go all the way around the shoe. And I'm just going to start in the very back, and then I'm just going to kind of stretch it as I go along. Just kind of covering up that edge. And I didn't end up putting anything on the bottom of my shoes. You can go back and put a sole if you want to, but I did not. And these little shoes, you could use these for a lot of different gnomes. And then you're going to make the other shoe exactly the same way as you did this one. Top part of the boot, we're taking a piece of fabric that's 8 inches by 3 inches, and we're going to wrap it around so that it comes to the side. We're going to put 2 little buttons on each side. So when you do the other shoe, you want to make sure that you have it on the opposite side. Just kind of pull it to the side and we're going to glue it down. And then just go ahead and pull the other side over, and we're just going to overlap it and glue it in as well. And then we're just going to put 2 little buttons on this side. Just kind of make sure you do have it lined up pretty straight. Then I'm just adding 2 3/4 inch buttons on each side. Just one down at the bottom and then one kind of at the top. You want to just cut some 1/2 inch slits all the way around, and we're going to glue this to the top. That'll finish that shoe out, and you won't see all that once we get it attached to our snowman. Just kind of make sure that you pull it all in there together and get it glued in good. And then you're going to do your other shoe exactly the same way as you did this one. Next, we're going to take 2 dowel sticks that are 1/4 inch by 6 inch, sharpen both ends, and we're just going to stick these down inside of our shoes. And I'm just sharpening those with a pencil sharpener. Then you're going to find 2 sides opposite of each other, and that's where we're going to actually take another dowel stick and poke our hole through. And then we're going to take our dowel sticks back out and we're going to glue them in because they are moving. So make sure you do glue those in. Next, go ahead and test fit them up inside of your snowman. Make sure he stands up good. And then we're going to go ahead and pull them back out and we're going to glue them in. So I'm just going to take 2 1-inch buttons and I'm just going to glue them to the front of his body. Just kind of make sure you get them lined up good. Okay, next I got a little black hat. It's a 5-inch hat and I'm just going to glue it to the top. Now I bought these on Amazon. I'll give you the link for them, but you can also get these at Hobby Lobby. They also have 5-inch hats there too. Now I'm going to take 2 little wiggly eyes that I got at Hobby Lobby and I'm just going to attach them to the front. And I'm going to use E6000 glue instead of hot glue because I don't want it melting my eyes. Just kind of get them lined up how you want them. And then I'm going to take 2 little eyebrows that I cut out of craft foam, and I've given you the pattern for those in the description below as well in both PDF and SVG, and you're just going to glue them right over the top part of his eyes. Okay, next for his arms, I got these little reindeer antlers at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to spray paint them with a clear matte finish. Now, you don't have to use these. You could use sticks if you wanted to. And then I'm just going to put them in on both sides of his body, and I sprayed them with clear because I don't like glitter everywhere, and these had glitter on them. Okay, then go ahead and take them back out and go ahead and glue them in. For his nose, I'm just going to take a 5/8 inch ball of oven baked clay, roll it up, and then I'm just going to roll the very tip part out so it comes to a point, kind of making it like a little carrot. And then going to flatten the bottom of it. And then we're going to take a sharpened dowel stick. We're going to cut it to about maybe 1.5 inches. And that's how we're going to attach this to his face. And you're going to bake that for 20 minutes at 275 degrees. So just go ahead and push it right into the bottom and then go ahead and bake it. And then you're going to have to glue the stick in later, but I baked it on the stick. Okay, for his mouth, I just took some craft foam and cut it into the shape of a mouth, and I've given you the pattern for that in the description below as well. Just kind of get it lined up, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the tip while I'm holding it so I can keep it in the same place that I wanted to make it in the first place. And then come to the opposite side, and you can glue the rest of it in. Okay, and to attach his nose, you were just going to go ahead and glue that dowel stick inside of that little nose, and then go ahead and glue it into his face. I don't know what happened on the video on that, but I don't have it. Next, I'm going to take a little corncob pipe that I got at Hobby Lobby. I'm just going to cut a little slit into the side of his mouth, and that's where I'm going to attach it. And I'm going to glue that in as well. Next, for his scarf, I'm taking a 2.5 by 28-inch piece of fabric, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue up all 4 sides, the 2 long sides and the 2 short sides, just like a 1/4 of an inch hem. Then leaving 6 inches open on each end, we're just going to glue over, just fold it in half and glue it together. Now you want to leave 6 inches open on both ends. And then we're just going to tie it around his neck, and then the open ends, we're going to overlap them and glue those together. Just kind of pull it up there onto the side, and then take those 2 flaps, and we're just going to glue those down together. And I'm just going to attach a little wreath that I got at Michael's just to the top part of his hat. Okay, this one was super easy, and right now those pumpkins are going to start coming available at Dollar Tree, so go ahead and grab you up some of these. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, for this one, I've given you a pattern. You can download it below, and you're just going to take 2 layers of fabric, and you're going to cut your star out. This is a quick and easy ornament. You can make a lot of these real quick, and these would be super cute on packages as well. Just go get your pattern cut out, and then we're going to start gluing it together. Okay, and we're just going to go all the way around, leaving the very top of it open, the very pointy edge. The very pointy edge at the top that's a little bit different from the rest of the stars, that's going to be where the hat goes. And just go as close to the edge as you can get, and make sure that you make your curves rounded when you're gluing at the edges, because you want it to be rounded when you turn it right side out. So spend a little bit of time on your gluing on this, but we are going to leave the very tip top open so we can go ahead and turn it right side out and fill it with some stuffing. Okay, let that dry real well, and then we're going to turn it right side out. Take your scissors and just cut little teeny slits in here, and you don't want to get past where you glued it. Just little teeny slits in between each one of those little star points. And then we're going to go ahead and turn it right side out, and if you have pliers, it makes it a little bit easier. And you want to make sure that you get it all pulled out. Now when you start adding the stuffing, it'll pull out itself, but go ahead and get all your little points pulled out. And then I'm going to take a bone folder that I have for my paper crafting, and I'm just going to stick it inside of the star to push all the rest of those out. Just kind of make sure that you get all your curves opened up. So we're just going to take some polyfill, and we're going to start stuffing it. And you want to stuff it as full as you can get it. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but that's fleece fabric that I'm using. And you want to use fleece because it does stretch and it's easier to work with. But you want to just go ahead and get it as full as you can, and make sure you get it into each one of those points in that star. And you're not going to put any stuffing in the very tip top. We're just going to put it in all 4 of the little points, and we're going to leave the top part open because we're going to put some pipe cleaner in there to make it stiff for the hat. But just kind of spend some time on this, kind of stretch it out there, and then just go ahead and get it as full as you can get it. And kind of shape it up as you're going. But you can see I put quite a bit of fill in here. Okay, next we're going to take 2 pipe cleaner and we're going to fold them in half, and then we're going to fold them in half again. And go ahead and twist up the edge right there, and then fold it over. We're going to stick it right down into the top of this. And this will give it a nice point so the hat stays on real well. And then we're just going to go ahead and glue that in, and then we're going to glue the fleece all the way around it. Okay, next we're going to cut our beard, and we're going to cut it at 3 inches by 3 inches, and we're going to cut it in a V shape. So just go ahead and draw a V right there because you want this just to be in a V. We're not going to go in a round circle. And then just cutting behind the faux fur only, cut down to that V point and back up the other side. This way it'll go down right to the center of that star, and then clean the excess off, and then we're just going to glue it right to the top part of our star. Just go all the way up to the top and kind of wrap it around the top part there. Next, we're going to cut out our pattern for our hat. And we're going to cut this out of pillow ticking fabric. I got it at Hobby Lobby. You can use any kind of fabric that you want, but I'm using pillow ticking. And you're going to place it on the fold and then cut your hat out. Just make sure that you get it even. Now, if you're using a stripe, you want to make sure that your stripe is on the same line all the way down. And you can use a lot of variations in this. You could make that with a fleece hat or anything that you want to. Okay, next we're just going to go ahead and glue right down the side and glue those over top of each other. Just make sure you do get it straight. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and cuff it up, and we're going to cuff it up 1.5 inches. And then we're going to just go ahead and glue that on. Just make sure you get all the way around, you get it pretty smooth. Okay, then we're going to turn it right side out. And then we're going to give it another cuff, and we're going to go about 3/4 of an inch up on the next cuff. You could make this with so many different shapes besides a star. I mean, this is a pretty easy pattern. You could do a lot of different ones. But just go ahead and get it stuffed pretty full, but you want to make sure that you don't get it stuffed so full that you can't get it back on top of his head. And if you pull the stuffing up in the back up a little bit, you can slide his head up underneath there, or his point up underneath there. And then we're just going to go ahead and glue the back down, and then we're just going to start gluing around, but not where the nose goes. So start in the back and just glue that in, and then we're going to start going around. Just kind of spend some time gluing this part because this is going to be hanging, so you want to make sure that you do get it glued in well. And then we're going to go ahead and add a nose. Now I'm using a 5/8 inch felt bead, and I got that on Etsy, and I'll give you the link for that. And then once you get the nose glued in, you're going to start gluing all the way around in the front part. You want to make sure that you seal it in good so none of that stuffing comes out. And then glue the hat right to the top of his nose. Next, I'm just going to decorate his hat a little bit. I got these little wreaths at Michael, and I'm just going to put it right to the side of his hat. Then I'm going to take some baker's twine. I'm going to go ahead and run it through a long needle I have, and I'm going to run it right through the top part of his hat. This is what's going to hold it on to where you can hang it. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut that off, and I'm going to add some beads to kind of decorate that up a little bit. You could decorate these however you want to, but this was a pretty easy way, and the beads really did add to this. And that's just an upholstery needle. I'll give you the link for that as well. It's really handy for putting beads on strings. And just go ahead and run that on down, and then just go ahead and tie a knot at the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue the very top bead right into that so it stays in place. All right, that was pretty quick and easy. Okay, those were pretty easy to make. They would be great on some packages. They'd be great on your tree. Gift these. Your friends will love them. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, I hope this video gave you some inspiration today. All of these are pretty quick and easy to make. If you do craft fairs and you get started ahead of time, all of these would be great for craft fair bestsellers, and you can make a lot of them for very inexpensive. If you like this kind of video, be sure and give me a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when I have a new video upload. Thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if nobody's told you today, you're awesome.